Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a video all about Ned rigs and when to use a traditional straight tail type Ned rig with like a TRD or like a hula sticks or something like that versus some of the creature bait and crawfish imitation offerings that are out there right now. But first I want to make a quick announcement. I've actually said this in multiple videos before, but I want to make sure I keep saying it because I think it is really super awesome. I recently started working with Fish the Moment. They have a great YouTube channel, obviously, but they also have a great online resource in their fishthemoment.com website. And on that website, we're offering virtual lessons from anglers just like myself. Other anglers include Matt Stephan Fishing, Randy Blockett, Jimmy Easterling, Kyle Cordiana. We are all, available for doing these 1 hour virtual lesson segments where you can book us for an hour. It's just you and I going over whatever you want to know. So make sure that you check out the Fish the Moment website, go to those virtual lessons and book one of us anglers. I think that is going to be a really great learning opportunity and a great way for you to connect with your favorite fishermen. So check that out. All right, so let's get started with Ned rig fishing. So the Ned rig is obviously a really big deal. People have really started to adopt this faster than just about any technique in the last 5 to 6 years, I'd say. Probably closer to 8 years, because I remember when I first learned of the Ned rig was when we first started filming for Sweetwater years ago, and the first thing I thought when I saw it was, oh yeah, that's a great bait to catch a lot of little bass. But since I've learned that I was very wrong in assuming that, because I've caught a lot of big fish. I even had a guide client catch a fish just under 10 pounds last year on Chickamauga on that Ned rig on a stretch that I had fished numerous days with numerous power fishing tactics, bigger baits, and they wanted that little tiny turd. That's what they wanted. That big giant wanted that bait. And if I can find that photo, I'm going to put one right here. All right, hopefully I found that photo. But so when it comes to the Ned rig, I've done a lot of videos on the Ned rig system, but really I haven't talked about the two different types of Ned rig bait designs that you're really going to see on the market, because it first started out with kind of a straight tail, almost stick bait design like this finesse TRD. This is kind of the traditional bait that you're going to be using on a Ned rig, and when people think of the Ned rig, they think of the finesse TRD or something very similar to it. But other than those traditional Ned rig designs, those straight tail kind of small stick bait designs, the Zman has come out with a lot of smaller kind of creature baits that work well with the Ned rig system. But I wanted to go over where I'm going to be using the traditional Ned rig designs versus the more creature and crawfish imitating designs. So let's kind of dive into it, and I'll share my my thought process on these two different types of designs for the Ned rig. All right, so here we have the two different styles of Ned rig designs that you're really going to be looking at. You've got the more creature or craw style baits, and then you've got the traditional, what I think is the traditional Ned rig designs like the finesse TRD and the hula sticks. Both of these are really good bait design categories, but I really put these in the true Ned rig category, just because when I think of a Ned rig, I think of one of those do-nothing stick bait type worms, those cut down sizes, those just really finesse baits that really don't have any appendages or anything like that, and have a real nice glide to them. One of the attractions of the finesse TRD is the fact that it has a nice kind of spiral glide to it as it falls down to the bottom, which I think is actually a really big deal. If you used to fish the old like tubes or Gitsits, this has a very similar fall to that. That's why I think that this design is very effective, particularly on the initial fall. But one thing that I do a little bit differently with a traditional Ned rig is I like to hop it a little bit more. I don't drag these style baits that much. I'm usually hopping it. They may be like little tiny short hops, maybe a couple inches off the bottom, or they may be a couple feet off the bottom. But in any case, I'm trying to get that kind of, you know, that subtle glide action out of it every single time I lift it off the bottom. And one thing that these baits do really good is that they stick straight up off the bottom, so when you're hopping it, when paired with a jig head such as, you know, the Ned locks that I'm putting this TRD on, is not a very good job rigging that. There we go, there we go. So when you rig it like with one of these jig heads, you know, like a Finesse Shrooms jig head, the Ned locks jig head, or the Pro Shrooms jig head, you know, they got that nice flat bottom to them. So that's really designed for hopping. So you're kind of hopping it, you know, along the bottom, short little hops or, you know, taller hops, whichever one the fish really want. But on this side of the spectrum, these baits are obviously designed to really imitate either a crawfish or some small critter that's on the bottom. And so what I like to do with these, as opposed to this type of Ned rig, is I really like to keep contact with the bottom with these type of baits. So I almost fish these like a traditional football jig, where I'm just essentially dragging it on a clean bottom, clean hard bottom. So that's the reason why I like to fish these style Ned rig designs with the football Neds. You know, it's got that football jig head design. A football head really does a good job of grinding over cover and also just kind of rocking back and forth as it grinds over that cover. So I really like using the football Neds with this and really just keep bottom contact with these baits, because I'm trying to imitate something that is crawling on the bottom. I'm not really hopping it a lot along the bottom. I'm just generally just dragging it, you know, just kind of a dead stick drag. So that is really the difference between these two as far as how I fish them. The places that I fish them are actually very similar. I may fish around a more, you know, grassy cover or, you know, sparse cover with a traditional Ned rig, and I may be throwing it in a lot of different situations versus, you know, just a clean gravelly or rocky bottom or shell beds with these creature baits. So they are definitely both very valuable. They're both very effective in certain situations. I'd say I use traditional style Ned rigs a little bit more, but these little creature baits, man, when you're looking at, especially when you have maybe a hatch of little tiny crawfish, man, this category works really, really well. So overall, that's how I decide between choosing the traditional style Ned rig designs and those creature bait designs that are both really, really productive. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, drop a comment below, and I'm going to see you out on the water. Take care.